Hello there, everybody. My name's Stuart Payne. We're just waiting for some people to join. I know it'll take a little bit of time, so give us 2 or 3 minutes whilst we get all of the attendees online. We are expecting a reasonable number of attendees today, so we've got around 350 people joining the chat, and so let's just give them a little bit of time to come online. I know most of the people joining are from the UK, but there are others joining from America, amongst others. So whilst we're waiting, if you want, you can drop in the chat and let me know who's joined, where you are in terms of location, city, town, country, and then maybe we can have a little bit of conversation through the chat while we're waiting for everybody else to join. So I can see that we've got Divaka. I hope that I've pronounced that correctly for you. Hello and welcome. Let's see if we can get anybody else brave enough to share some insights. In fact, Divaka, where are you from? Whereabouts in the world? Text me back or message me back in the chat and let me know. Okay, so we've got roughly people joining on a minute-by-minute basis, and the numbers are climbing. Don't know if you all, I'm assuming that you all know, the UK suffered some bad news this last week with our Queen passing away. So just hope that everybody can cheer up and celebrate what she actually achieved or help us achieve as a nation. So I'm Stuart Payne from Neo Technology. I'm the strategy director, and generally I help organizations see the customer view and really help them focus their energies on delivering efficiency, brilliant customer journey, and engagement. I think it's important to stress as well that these days, and especially since COVID, that's also goes for employees, because they need that great experience as well. And we all know, I'm assuming that you all know, if you're joining today, that technology can make a massive difference to people in every walk of life, in every organization. So I'm just going to have a quick look at the chat and just see how many people we've had join, and maybe just give it another minute or two. It's 3 minutes past 4 now, just for the numbers to join, to climb up a little bit. We're now, Ahmed, my assistant on the right, is flagging up that we've now got how many people? A few, so we're over 100 now, and just waiting for the rest to join. So we'll give literally another minute, and then we'll start. We'll start talking about how to succeed with technology and digital transformation. And again, for those of you that have just joined, I'm Stuart Payne. Some of you may have seen me on LinkedIn. I'm fairly present in that channel, and you'll have seen all of the things I post about. I'm strategy director for Neo Technology, and we've built some great technology, some brilliant technology to help organizations really move forward, reinvent themselves, thrive, and grow. Okay, so just give it another few seconds. I'm just going to wait till 4:05, and then we'll start. Other people can join as we go. It's 4:05. Numbers on the doors. Can you just give me a flash, please? And I'll start. So we're going to talk about how to succeed with technology and digital transformation. And some of the key topics that we're going to cover is how to improve operational efficiency, And you'll see there on this opening slide, by 40%. We'll give you some real life case studies as to how we've helped organisations achieve that. We're also going to talk about how to improve deployment and speed of deployment. So that's speed to market for your product, your technology, your service, and change. And then how we can help you migrate customers to self-service, which of course speaks for itself. It's highly efficient. Not only is it highly efficient, but it also engages the customer more and grows your organisation, your business. So hi, Mark Stevens, greetings from London. Thanks for joining. It's nice to see you here. And then also we're going to be talking about how to make your organisation tech ready, how to improve economic gains by 20 to 50%, which is significant. And in fact, I'm working with an organisation at the moment who are looking to improve their GP by over 50%, which will be brilliant. And then also how to reduce the cost of software development. And I think that that's a really vital and important element of technology and the progression for digital transformation. We all know it can be really, really expensive, but it's about being efficient and cost effective with the use of technologists. So just to introduce in a little bit around NEO, I'm not going to talk about NEO very much on this webinar, but I think that it's of value for you to understand me and the organisation that I represent. So usually NEO Technology are approached by potential clients when they have an issue, a real problem. So maybe where they are being disrupted by a competitor because of technology. I'm going to give you a brilliant example of that. You think about the car market at the moment, retail car market. And you go, traditionally you would go to a car showroom, you'd test drive the car, you'd maybe meet the salesperson for an hour or 2 or 3 hours, depending upon how long it's going to take to get that deal done. Well, the disruptors, Cazoo and the likes have now come in, and CarWow, etc., and really disrupted that sector. You can now go online, you can view the car in 3D, watch the video, buy the car, you get a 30-day returns policy. The finance is structured around that deal. There's no haggling, no discussion to be had. You're going to buy the car and it gets delivered to your door. So if you think about car dealerships in that way, they're really being disrupted at the moment. And, they need to use technology to build on what they're doing. And to really helping the customer journey and make it better than the online version, or indeed use it as part of the online version as well, and really enrich that engagement process. I see Stephanie's joined as well. Hi, Stephanie. So that's one example of around disruption. It might be something else that, you're in danger or risk of being hacked. Within some of our customer sectors at the moment, we've got some organisations have really been held to ransom for significant amounts of money and significant periods of time. And that really can endanger a business. So, another reason, again, why people reach out to us at NEO. It could be as simple as all these manual tasks that you used to do no longer need to be manual, and you can automate process. I'll bring up this slide later, not to talk about NEO, but as a reference point for you guys to make notes on. So into how to succeed with technology and digital transformation. And I suppose one of the key points is, we've already spoken about the takeaways, but one of the key points is, what is the difference between digitalization and digital business transformation? And it's significant. So many people work in silos. So you think about, you'll have sales, you might have marketing, you'll have aftercare, customer service, operations, finance. Each silo traditionally has gone through a process of trying to digitize their business to improve their efficiencies. That's not what we're talking about here. In the long term, those businesses will not succeed with digital transformation. It has to follow the customer from end to end. And so really what we want to talk about is digital business transformation, where we're not working in silos, we're working linear through the organization. And that's where the demand is coming for growth. So if you think about the starting point for all of this, it's about identifying the impact of technology on your sector. And I've already quoted one in terms of the car market and how that's been really disrupted. You know, there are many others, and I'm sure that your sector sits into this disruption element somewhere along the way. So if you consider what isn't working then effectively and how technology can improve that situation, really what you need to do is look at how the processes and approaches, the techniques, the technologies can bring around that change. And from my perspective, I always say, think like the customer, because they're the ones that feel your pain indirectly as they're going through their customer journey with you. And some people will have recurring customers and it'll just be going around and around and around, and they'll constantly suffer your pain and eventually leave your organization if you don't do something about it. So if you think like the customer and make brilliant technology, which will make your organization brilliant, that's easy, isn't it? It's easy, yeah? No, it's not. There's caution out there. And I'm going to bring up this slide. This is a massive statistic and really important. Actually, when I was going through this slide deck earlier on, I missed a vital point. I misread this. So I'm just going to read it slowly. Yeah? Typically, less than 30% of digital business transformation initiatives succeed. That means 70% fail. That's a staggering amount of organizations and transformation projects that are failing. Unbelievable. And so it's right to have the right processes, the right skill set, the right talent in place in order to do it. But first of all, let's just cover off frustrations and challenges, because you will have them along the way. It's absolutely important that we talk about some of this stuff. So what's important is that we don't just talk about frustrations and the challenges being not enough budget or inefficiency within your organization, low customer satisfaction, just that change is too slow, or your IT team are always busy maintaining the status quo because they're constantly getting phone calls from from people within the organization saying my laptop's not working. That is such a massive distraction. And you need to stop that. Or it might be that you're losing market share to disruptors. So consider all of those, and it's actually the causes that are the problem. It's the causes that we need to resolve. And so if you think about lack of cohesive strategy and the fact that, you know, a digital transformation must be strategy-led, it must be part of the organization top to bottom. And so you really need that, that director buy-in, because it starts with a great vision of what your organization is going to achieve using technology. And we'll talk about goals and business objectives in a little while. So any technology that's introduced into your business needs to be the bigger vision, needs to be part of that bigger vision and the strategy. And make sure that anything that is implemented is not implemented in isolation. You could end up doing it again, and that's a cost you don't want to bear. Another one is no leadership buy-in. Well, you need to get that leadership buy-in, and we'll talk about return on investment. We'll talk about the vision of what the benefits will be, and we'll cover some of that off as well as we go through this process. So not thinking outside the box and therefore operating legacy systems and operating in processes because you've always done it that way is not the right way forward. We need to be looking at how you can change things and make things simpler. Now, I've spoken about silo mentality in terms of digitization as opposed to digital transformation. And we've got to make sure that this is a cross-functional activity. We want to be taking away that silo mentality. And I go to see many organizations, and it's almost a breath of fresh air to them when they understand this linear approach. And I'll show you a diagram shortly of how to change the thinking, because you need to meet the needs of real customers to solve your business problems. And whenever you've got conflicting incentives within your organization by different departments, then that's going to make it more and more difficult to break that silo mentality. So make sure your leadership team's joined up. Make sure that when you're looking at process, all of that executive board and the leadership team are talking on how they can deliver better satisfaction for the customer on that linear journey. So poor communication is significant, and we'll talk a little bit about that. I don't know if you know, but 60% of employees don't read all of their emails. Surprise, surprise. And so make sure that you are communicating on every channel. Here at Neo, we use Teams, we use Slack, we use Yammer, all sorts of different platforms and channels to be able to communicate, to drive buy-in. And that buy-in is so important. So that's poor comms. And then ultimately, and this is probably one of the biggest ones, is that no definition for success or return on investment. Well, if you are the business leader, or if you can see a case in point where you're being disrupted and want to create change within your organization, if you have a definition of success and you know what that looks like, then when you go to talk to the board and present your thoughts or your ideas, or talk to your line manager, your director in the corridor, and you give him a vision of what that might look like, you might just get more buy-in. And that's really, really important. So defining success helps you to streamline and improve that conversation, that journey. Well, bureaucracy and organizational culture, I don't need to talk about that too much, but it's a big blocker. If you get buy-in and your comms are good, it's all going to improve your chances of that digital business transformation. And resources and skill set is a significant area of digital transformation, because we know there's significant demand at the moment for technologists, and that's driving cost up in terms of day rates or hourly rates for software engineers. And so it's important that you have the right attitude to that global talent pool. It allows you to find brilliant talent anywhere in the world. And usually it means that because you've got more choice, your cost will reduce as well. So we'll go through some of these in a little bit more detail. And then, other customer frustrations are too many manual processes, too much resistance to change, changing customer behaviors. Certainly from my perspective, my son-in-law would much prefer to deal online. He'd like to buy online all the time. He'd like to use a chat function. He doesn't really want to speak to anybody over the telephone. And that success of Amazon has been really rolled out into business en masse, globally. And if you're not part of that journey, you will be disrupted. And after all of that, your profits will be squeezed if you don't get on that journey and get your organization, your process in place. We're going to talk more about the structure and the best way to take on these challenges, these causes, and overcome them. So what I want to do is start with a poll. Let's get some customer engagement. You guys, I really want to understand some of your insights. And so the poll now, I've got Fran helping me with the poll. She's monitoring it and will give us some information. But what I want to know is which one of these on the screen is most impacting your organisation. Now, I don't know if any of you have done webinars, but there's a slight lag, some latency through the stream. So we'll give it a little bit of time. But just to go over them, you know, is bureaucracy slowing you down? Are manual tasks just a blocker and a drain on your employees? Is cost of software development too high? Is it just costing you an arm and a leg and you can't see the return on investment? Or are you concerned about how to engage with customers as their behavior is changing to online or to digital channels? Do you have legacy systems that fall over and break down where you can't integrate new systems? You know, integration is a big part of any technology organization. We can talk a little bit about microservices. We don't want to build significant monolithic systems anymore. We don't need to. Or are you being disrupted? Do you need to be the disruptor, or should you be? Are you struggling to find the right talent, the right labour? Is your IT team so busy that it's just taking forever to deploy that new technology? Do they understand, or are they agnostic so they can recommend the best software or the best technology for you? Or are you at risk of being hacked? So I'll leave this on the screen for a little bit, but I'm really keen to understand where each of you fit with some of these pain points. And that will allow me then to tailor the presentation a little bit more as we go through this. I'm not going to read it all again, but you can see it on the screen at the moment. Please go on the chat and let me know. Hi, Jay. Thanks for joining. So just while we're waiting for the feedback on the poll, I'm just going to talk a little bit about opportunities for growth and success, because what we've spoken about just there is really frustrating. And in reality, what we want to be doing is talking about the opportunity that digital transformation can bring. And there's no doubt it can bring challenges, as we've already spoken, but there's so much opportunity to be had by actually being one of the 30% that succeeds. I'm just going to go back over again while we're waiting for some of these issues to be highlighted through the chat. But remember, you know, having that vision, having the vision of what success might look like, and celebrating the milestones with your employees and the wider team along the way is a brilliant way to overcome the challenges of digital transformation. Okay, I'll move on. And I'm going to talk about return on investment, because ultimately being able to show that proposed transformation project and get it to have the support that it needs in order to drive the benefit, ROI is really important. And when we're managing projects and delivering that deployment, every step of the journey, we want to be showing some sort of return, some sort of value. And that drives the budget, and it drives the cultural change and overcomes the challenges. So I'm just going to highlight very quickly now and go through some of the benefits that you might want to expect. So these sources you'll see at the bottom of the slide here, these are not made up. These are from Deloitte, they're from Hexagon, the Forbes, Gallup, McKinsey. You know, there's some great names that have put these insights forward. So digital first companies are 64% more likely to achieve their business goals. That's massive. Digitalization of process on a linear scale, yeah, so not in silos, will drive operational efficiency of 40%. And we've got, in fact, we've got examples ourselves where we've driven over 50% efficiency for our clients. And that's all part of building the platform with brilliant user journeys where their clients go online and use self-serve portals, and building them with just brilliant user journeys really works. So I've had one client publicly thank us for saving them or driving a 50% efficiency by going digital. It also then clearly will drive economic gains. And as I've already said earlier on in the on this webinar, we spoke about how here we're talking about economic gains of 20 to 50%, but I've got clients who are looking to physically double their profitability through using technology. And again, if you want to find out about that, you can go online, you can go and visit the NEO website, look at the case studies, excuse me, and the ebooks, and you'll learn more about that. So the other thing is that it enables you to meet customer expectation and increases your opportunity to do that, because through self-service, you can really drive change. So I've got Mark Stevens here. How long does it usually take between implementation for digital transformation? Just bear with me. And seeing the benefits, I think that is going to say. Yeah, and seeing the results. So if you do incremental change on an ongoing basis, and I'll talk about an agile methodology in a minute, if you go through that incremental process of an ongoing change, we would actually deliver a roadmap where it then shows you the return. So inside 90 days, we want to start to show you value and real benefit. And that's a good marker, I think. Now, clearly, sometimes if you're migrating data and you're moving petabytes rather than terabytes, it's going to take maybe a little bit longer, but that's all part of it. And then I've also now just got Salu Hudin asking, how can organizations achieve these kinds of KPIs? Well, I think, again, I'll go through a process with you very shortly that will show you how to start tracking, achieving or setting goals and then achieving them. And so then if you look again, you're more likely, if you're a future business, you're more likely to attract more talent. And certainly from a NEO perspective, we very much see ourselves as a startup. We've been around for 3 or 4 years now, but we are still chasing to be the best, to learn, to be cutting edge. And that attracts more and more talent into our talent pool, into our employee base. And then again, obviously, digital transformation increases customer satisfaction by 30%. Now, I would say you've got an opportunity there to go way above 30%. But again, this is a source from Deloitte, Hexagon, Forbes, etc. And so these are proven, I would say, mean values, average values. So other opportunities, you talk about improving speed to market through digital transformation or digital business transformation. And you've got a real opportunity to earn more money by being first. I used to, I still do work with banks and building societies, and every day that they launched a new service or product, they were making millions and hundreds of thousands of pounds every day that they launched earlier. And so that can be appropriate to you. Now, clearly, this is a big statement. Cloud migration improves security, but it does. We can work on air-gapped solutions that will really give you a DR solution and stop you from, if you are hacked, having to lose all of that data or pay a ransom, which we would never do. So, benefits that we've delivered. So the stuff I've just shown you now is from those organizations, McKinsey, Concurrency, Gallup, etc. These are benefits that I've personally seen us deliver as part of what we're doing. So savings on technologists, well, that's by using a global talent pool. and it's significant the way that certainly we operate as an organisation. And I don't know that there are that many out there, others out there that do this, but we have onshore and offshore teams that work together in collaboration in the relevant time zone. And that way you can benefit from in-country knowledge, but offshore cost savings. And that's a big way that we drive that 40% discount or saving. If you think about savings created through self-service at 50%+, all you need to do, it's a big feat. You've got to build the platform that is really easy and simple to use. But if you migrate 50% of your customer base online and get them to self-service rather than going through your call center, as an example, then clearly you're going to have a significant cost. In most cases, from our perspective and experience with our customers, the teams that are taking those phone calls then can deal better with the people who can't use the technology because they're disabled or they're elderly, etc., etc. But we do try to build inclusive platforms. And I think that, you as an organisation need to be aware that when you're building that platform, it is inclusive for everyone. So just get to 35% increase in customer engagement, driving economic gains. Now, I'm going to just put this book up here. And it's an ebook that you can request from us to download. So if you put your email in the chat, we'll send you the link to download this book. It covers a lot of what I've just been talking about in terms of common challenges. And it tells you a little bit or a lot about how to avoid those common challenges. But again, put your email in the chat now. Fran, my trusted helper, will take your email and send you the link for the ebook. And I hope that gives you some indicator of those challenges. So we're moving on to phase 2 now. We're going to talk about some slightly different things because we want to give you a vision of how, not just the problems and how to overcome them, but how are you going to drive or start this process even. And again, I'm just going to re-emphasize the point before I do that, 97% of companies believe that cultural change should be and is integral to digital business transformation. And I think that's coming through the conversation that I'm having anyway now with you. So let's just look at key business goals. I know before somebody on the chat had asked me about how can you achieve these types of outcomes. And how long does it take to see some sort of benefit? But what I'm interested in is what your goals are. So I'm going to flash this up on the screen and just which ones in terms of operational efficiency, improvement of deployment, economic gains, better customer satisfaction, which ones of those really are your focus as an organization right now? And I know that a lot of you probably will say tick, 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 all of them. But there will be 1 or 2 core focuses. Okay, so I'm going to let Fran pick up that. And again, she can give me the feedback so I can start to talk a little bit more about those goals, those objectives specifically. So ultimately, again, I'm going to flash this up. You need to make brilliant technology that makes your business brilliant. And it's easy, right? Well, maybe not. Because again, 43% of managers, and again, this isn't me quoting this is from Deloitte, etc. But 43% of managers don't think that their organization has the right technology or the right people to digitally transform. Okay, so for Mark Stevens, it's about improving efficiency. And I'll talk a bit about that and give you a case study of how automation, AI, and self-serve portals can really drive that change. But what you do need to make sure you've got in place is a plan, because you want to benefit from these kinds of gains. So we've got a document here again that you can download and fill it out. So this document starts the process of identifying what's going on in your sector, what your customers are looking for, or what their needs are and how that has changed. And it really makes you think about next steps and what the future you looks like. Because ultimately you want to go from A to B. So in here, we look at pains, we look at symptoms, causes, and then what you need to do to change to get best practice so that you can deliver success. And so we want to look at how you move from A to B. I flashed up earlier on in the presentation in the webinar about thinking like a customer, and that's really important, either as a customer and or as an employee, because they're the people that need to deliver the service or the transformation. And I think that this slide's brilliant. And every time I go out and I talk to organizations about, don't think about that siloed approach. Think about that customer journey going through every department in your organization. And each of these might be functions of those departments. But what you do know is that your customer will hit all of them. And so you need to build technology that will guide that process through. I've seen it before where people will build a tool for finance. But then guess what? It doesn't integrate into the marketing platform or the sales or the CRM or the ERP. And that causes so much pain and is a waste of time and money. And you have to respend. So always think about the linear approach. So here's where we start to get into some little bit more nitty gritty. So we're going to show you some different steps that you need to go through. So I would always start in this identify area here, and I'd start to look at the risk to your business of not making a change, as well as the risk to the business of making a change. Because inactivity sometimes feels safe. In reality, it's not, because you will be disrupted, you will lose market share. So really consider the risk of not changing. And that might be a brilliant lead to take forward into the organization to drive momentum and to drive the transformation and the change. But also assess the sector. You know, if you're going to be the disruptor and not be disrupted, then it's really important that you understand what your competition is doing and draw some nuances and some challenges that maybe they're facing that you're not, and that you're facing that they're not. And then talk to IT, talk to the technologists about how you might be able to overcome that. And then go into an impact analysis of what that means, which will help you drive some sort of cost and a development plan and a strategy selection and a way forward. Because everything that we do in technology, and I'll show you another diagram shortly, is ongoing. It's a continuous process, and it's so important. But make sure that you collect the mission, the insights, get the collaboration running through from customers, supply chain, employees, all the way through your organization. Map out your processes. Understand and be technology agnostic so that you can get best in class. As long as you can integrate, you can bring in new technologies as they emerge. Don't just buy an out-of-the-box solution. And of course, you need the talent to be able to deploy that. That brings me on to this next slide, really. You've got to assess as part of the process that you're going through, how are you going to add scale with technologists or tech teams? Who is going to manage these digital projects? Do you have experience of enterprise platforms? Can you build from scratch? Do you want to just bring 3 or 4 pieces of software together? Do you have the time to do it? And how are you going to build a brilliant digital experience for your customer and for your employees? So then if you think about capabilities, you've then got to say, have you got the experience? Have you got the skill in your organization to deploy this? So Mark Stevens on here has said to me, can going it alone ever succeed? That's a really good question. I've never seen anybody succeed on their own, because you have to take outside experience, even if it's outside of your department and from another department. All of my connections and my friends that are in the business always take advice and help from third parties. Even if it's just the deployment element of the software, I'll say even, it's really important. So again, it's just that asking yourself, have you got the capabilities and have you got the experience to be able to deploy? And if you haven't, guess what? There's a little book here. Again, you can pop in the chat and ask Fran for the benefits of the DevOps strategy. It'll highlight what you need to be able to build a team to get off the ground with a digital transformation process. So again, drop your email in the chat. Fran will pick that up and send out the link for you to have a read. Now, clearly, Mark said, you know, does it ever work going on your own? Personally, I've never seen going on your own working, because you need to scale up and down as part of the flow. You need to tap into people who don't get distracted by somebody's laptop breaking on the Monday morning. But I would say that have a read of the guide, make your own mind up, and reach out to me if you've got any other questions. Okay, so 12 steps. Yeah, we've covered some of this already, but I'm just going to go through 12 steps of successful business transformation. I'm going to have another drink. So one is evaluate your current position. We've already spoken about that. 2 is secure management buy-in. Again, we've already spoken about that. Set goals and take action. Again, it's all part of this roadmap. And there's a little diagram at the end that you'll be able to see. And again, I can send you it. Again, it's a continuum and a continuous workflow. Close the skills gap. So either train your people or bring more skills in, whether that's a contractor or a series of contractors, or whether it's an outsourced solution. Certainly at the moment, the outsourced solution to a hybrid method of working, which utilizes UK onshore and offshore, is a significant way to do that in terms of reducing cost. Secure your employees' buy-in. Reassure them that this change will help them save time, take stress out of their day, that it's part of that ongoing process. Talk to them about the benefits that people see from buying from organizations like Amazon and Uber and all of these kind of leading organizations, and remove that fear. So focus on your communication and enable collaboration and bring all of those things through. So Luke Smith is asking me, hi Stuart, which industries are furthest behind on digital transformation? I don't think it's industry specific personally. I think it's just to do with the organization. So from my perspective, I would be interested to speak to any sector, because I can see and have a vision of what change might look like for those sectors. So I don't know if there's any specific sectors. I think it's more to do with organizations who are turning a blind eye and will only realize when they are disrupted. And I see part of my job of selling that story, getting that story out there, and that, you know, there's a cost to not changing. So again, going back to this 12-step plan, be open, be agile, be innovative, deliver ongoing change management and have permanent dialogue. And through that, you'll develop an efficient change management process. And then you'll be able to evaluate what you've been doing, you'll refine it on an ongoing basis, and that will enable you to scale. So here is the diagram that pulls all of those 12 points together. And I brought them up individually because it can be quite hard to read on the computer screen when I'm presenting. But again, we can send you this little infographic, and that might just give you some sort of an idea in terms of a roadmap to deliver from point one onwards on an ongoing basis. And what's really important, this next slide, now, whenever I show it, our CTO always thinks, everybody's seen this slide. But actually, so many people, when they're on the journey and they're in the day-to-day, forget. They forget that Agile is a methodology that delivers. And it's significant. So I haven't changed this slide from one that we use as part of a presentation because I wanted to highlight the point that so many people, when they're on the journey, don't have visibility of where the technology business is or where the internal IT department are with deployment. And what we want to do is give people that visibility, because then you improve the dialogue and you improve the collaboration. And so the Agile methodology is brilliant. You know, I don't know, and I'm going to spell it out for those of you that don't know it. But every day you have a plan, you deliver to the plan, and every morning you review. Every day you have a plan, you deliver to the plan, and every morning you have a review. And every 2 weeks you reassess. So you test and learn, and develop and scale. And one of the key things for us, and I've left it in there here, is that we invite our clients to join the sprint review meetings or the planning meetings or the stand-ups. Now, it might be to start with that they come to every morning stand-up and every sprint review meeting. But over time, once they start to develop a process and get faith in what's actually happening because they're seeing value being delivered, then it might just be that they come to a 2-weekly sprint planning meeting to decide what's next. And at that planning meeting, we've always reviewed, we've tested, we've taken bugs out, we've moved forward. It's really important. And it's important, again, just to stress this bit element here, because we operate global teams in the time zone of the client, and therefore we can deploy at pace, we can test and learn, and the client has visibility of what's going on. So there's another ebook here. Again, drop your email in the chat. Fran will send you the link to ensure that your business succeeds with digitalization and digital transformation. Any questions on the chat? So I hope, Luke, while I'm just waiting for some more questions to come through, that you get what I mean about how it's not specific to a sector, but it's more about the organization. Because the demand, you know, that drive for change is really scaling. And it's about jumping on or getting on that journey before it's too late. So another question from Mark about how do you become agile? You start your process by saying, we are going to operate an agile methodology here. So when I put a brief in, every day you have the stand-up, every day you review what you've done that day on an ongoing basis. You know, for us, we usually have those stand-ups at 9 a.m. or on a morning, and then we work the rest of the day, and we operate within a 2-week timescale of everything for a sprint review. So everything is broken down. By the same token, you can employ a Scrum Master. If you are outsourcing to us, we obviously have our own, and they drive that agile process. I hope that makes sense. So you can read up on the methodology and try and go on your own. But again, as somebody else had already said, does it ever work going on your own? Personally, I don't think so. Okay, we're now at 10 to 5. We've got 10 minutes left. I'm looking forward to some big chat here, guys. So I need you to send me some more questions about how to improve your organizations with technology. So another one here is, how do I secure leadership buy-in? I think that you've got to generate a business case. I can send you a template if you want one. And you populate that, and it talks about the benefits, the disadvantages, the reason for change, the reason for not changing, and what the impact of that might be. It talks about ROI and what that might look like. You know, a lot of the time when we're developing a roadmap, a technology roadmap for a client, it'll have an in-year return on investment. So the cost or the profit or the return outweighs the cost in that financial year. And you'll have some significant benefits from doing that, clearly. It's an interesting one. As I say, I'm working with an organisation at the moment, and they're owned by a private owner. There's another couple of directors in there who are shareholders, and they're trying to drive that change. Clearly, the major shareholder wants to retain his cash, and so that business plan, that the reason for change is a really vital document. You know, and at some point, it's got to be presented to the board, and it's got to be driven through, and the board have got to really take it on and take ownership of that strategy. There are many definitions of digital transformation. What is your definition for the same? So my definition for digital transformation, in fact, I've already spoken about it, and I put it up on the screen. But it's about understanding what your sector is doing. It's about talking about how you might be disrupted, what the cost of that disruption would be to your organization, and what you are going to do to become either the market leader or the disruptor. Because that way, you know, you're going to survive, you're going to thrive, and hopefully, you know, you'll get that growth if that's what you're looking for. Some people are just looking for stability, but, you know, you've still got to understand the challenges that are facing you in your market, and what technologies are coming about that will really help your organization be ultimately efficient. What is the number one cause for digital transformation failure? From my perspective, I think it's not getting that board buy-in, and I think it's not running to the 12-point plan that I've just shown you previously. Because if you go to this and follow it through meticulously, and have a brilliant document that people can buy into. I'm not talking about war and peace here, you know. It's all common sense solutions. It's all common sense that if you automate a process, it's going to reduce the manual element, and therefore you can focus more on other things. Got another message through here. So how to weigh the impact of technology transformation on a certain target market, i.e. FMCG. Fast moving. Every market will not respond equally to one technology. Absolutely, and that's why we talk about not being being technology agnostic, because it's not about selling one version of the truth to everybody. It's about selling a version or a solution for every individual, where it makes them feel individual, because that's where it adds value. So we don't sell software, We sell a solution that matches the need. And I think that that's really important. And I think FMCG, you know, is a brilliant market to look at. I mean, you know, you go into Aldi, they're using technology now on their labeling. They're not having to print labels. They haven't got people going around with missing pieces of paper. They have to slip into all of their shelves. You know, it's all real-time change. You think about the financial benefit of that. You know, there's a 2p increase on a loaf of bread, which is more likely to be 20% now, 20 pence now, isn't it? But a 20% increase on bread, that change is made immediately across hundreds of stores. That's a really good example of how technology can work in FMCG. You know, even if you're thinking about buying something online, to be able to render something in your home. You know, you go on Amazon now and there's a little box that you can push and you can see the cabinet sitting in your lounge. That's going to encourage sales. It gives better customer journey and ultimately will increase profitability. Okay, we've got 3 minutes left. Really open for a big last question, if anybody's got one. And I'm just going to go to the end of here. So all the way through this process, I've been talking about making brilliant technology, making your business brilliant, and how easy it's not. And I'm not saying it is easy, but that's why you need a partner that will really help you deploy, design, deploy, deliver on an ongoing basis, adding value in short time frames so that you can get more and more buy-in as you go along that journey. Technology is rapidly evolving. How do we keep up with our digital transformation journey? How long should the program last? It's about scaling up. So I would say that a digital transformation process is forever ongoing. You know, I live in a change environment. I embrace it. I'm used to it. But while ever you've got that change being driven through your sector, through your organization, it should be an ongoing basis. Maybe in year one or in the first few months, you know, you're going to have a bigger team. But over time, that team will reduce, and then it'll grow again, and it'll reduce, and it'll grow again. And that's why really, I suppose, you would outsource, because you can't keep hiring and then dropping people off, hiring and dropping people off. You lose the nuances of your organization. So I think it's an ongoing method of working. It's an ongoing method of being, if that makes sense. Okay, so we're at 1 minute to 5. I'd just like to say thank you all for joining. I hope that you found it of value. We've got some other webinars coming up. Please have a look on the website. If you're not in technology, but in sales and marketing, we've got a new one coming up on the 3rd of October, which is omni-channel digital transformation for sales and marketing. And I think it's really important just to highlight that sales and marketing are becoming one. And so that siloed approach is just being blown. But again, register for that, sign up. It'll be me doing that conversation. And please, any last questions, reach out to me. I'm on LinkedIn. You can email me. You can drop a line to contact us.